Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Number. Today is going to look a little bit differently. As you can see, it is just Karlina and I sitting up here. We just wanted to dedicate an episode specifically to answering some questions that you guys gave us. Just answering questions that have to do with athletics, that have to do with us, just anything that you guys had asked, we are here to answer. So, Carl, you or me first?
Okay, I'll go first to start. So let me just find a question. Okay, Allie. First, to begin, what athletic adversities have shaped you into who you are today?
Gosh, there have been a whole bunch of different ones I feel like that I could kind of point out. My collegiate experience was kind of one that threw a lot of different adversities my way, but each that taught me something different. And I would say the two biggest ones for myself were when I kind of started undergoing like different anxieties and pressures and stressors and feeling just a way different emotion towards soccer. And we've talked about this before so many times, but just like the feeling of loving something for so long and then that feeling kind of turning into something that then is like,
that you're questioning.
You show up to practice and you're like, ugh, I don't want to be here. And I think that was something that has really shaped my like perspective on different things now in my day-to-day life, where I look to try to feel as grateful as possible for the things that I'm able to do, because now that soccer's over, I'm like, dang, why did I ever feel that way?
Right.
And then the next one definitely was injury. That was something that made me so much mentally tougher and stronger. And people always say, and it feels like such a cliche, they're like, when you get injured, it's all mental. Like everything's mental, the recovery, everything. And you're like, no way. But it is. It's so mental. Everything I feel like about being a collegiate athlete is so mental. And that has completely strengthened my mentality of things, my mental game of things. And so, yeah, I would say those two.
Good answer.
Dang. What about you,
Carl? I would definitely say injuries for sure. Having to overcome, excuse me, English for me too. Having to overcome not one but two ACL injuries was, like you said, hard, mentally, physically hard. I think the second one was harder than the first one, honestly. But like you said, it made me stronger. I'm happy it happened. I learned a lot from it. That's kind of what inspired me to get involved in other things outside of athletics, which I think was really important to me, that I didn't realize was important to me at the time. But because of the injury, it kind of opened that opportunity for me. So thankful for that. But I would say another big one, because I feel like everyone goes through injuries and everyone kind of understands that challenge. But as being captain, it's different being captain for a team when y'all are successful. But I think the challenge came for me was trying to lead a team when we weren't being successful and when we were all facing adversities through the season for not 1 year, but 2 years. And so it was hard. It was challenging. It kind of made me self-reflect in some ways of what can I do to keep everyone motivated, to keep everyone's heads on straight, keep everyone inspired and confident. Especially when things aren't going your way and everyone's just so competitive. Everyone wants to win, but when you're working so hard and not getting those results, that's when things can kind of get crazy and fall into shambles. Leading a team and being the person that everyone looks up to when everyone is facing the same challenges and everyone's trying their best and still nothing is working, that was something I had never experienced before. And so it was definitely something that I had to adapt to. But again, thankful that it happened. Definitely no regrets in that aspect. I loved it all.
And you did great in it all.
It made me bigger. It made me a better person.
I have firsthand experience with that one.
Thank you, Allie. But yeah, good answers. Okay,
I
good one,
like
good
them.
one. Okay, your turn.
So next, Carl,
I'm
how
nervous.
do college athletes deal with negative posts on social media or just fan-based negativity in general? And did you ever find a way, or how do you feel like athletes find a way to kind of shut it off?
I would say this is something, thankfully, that I never had to deal with. I think just because of the position that women's soccer is in within the athletic world.
100%.
You don't really get that much outside and external opinions on games unless you're at the professional level. So this isn't something that social media was never really a challenge for me, but I know it is a challenge in throughout athletic sports and for other people in different sports as well. I think as athletes and coming into college and realizing that fans are going to have their opinions, I think you kind of learn to develop a mentality that is only focused on yourself and your team and your coaches or whatever staff or whatever is in the whole department in that moment. And you learn that that ultimately that's all that matters. Yeah. If your coaches know you're trying your best, your teammates know you're trying your best, and then what you're capable of, then you learn to not listen to everybody else. And I say learn so much because it's not something that you just immediately understand.
No, it's
I feel
a process.
I feel like it's a process to overcome. But once you can overcome it, I think it's just so easy from here on out. I feel like we've had people on here that kind of have explained their stories about it in a good way. I think Max did a great job of explaining it in a better way because I think he had to deal with it. I think football deals with it most. But I don't know. I think it's just a mentality you grow to. You learn to ignore them eventually.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I would 100% agree. And what you said at the beginning, I say that every time this subject comes up, I'm like, well, being a female soccer player at A&M, we have a lot of fans and we're so fortunate, but it's nothing in comparison to other sports, and especially that being like basketball, baseball, football. Right. And so for us, it's like we don't have to have the pressure of like me missing a shot at goal and someone tweeting about it like, ew, that was the worst shot attempt I've ever seen. Right. I literally use that examples like that every time because it's so true that we never experience those minor critiques and those digs after making a mistake. And I truthfully don't know what that firsthand experience is like. I don't know how that can mentally kind of mess with your head a little bit and add on so many pressures of things. But I can say, hearing perspectives from people like Max on the podcast that he was on and different people, I feel like it has kind of allowed for hopefully more sympathy to be grown towards that and more understanding that it can really hurt a person's mental, especially when you're critiquing them at their game. You're almost making them question who they are as a person. Right. And those just should never intertwine. And so I think that for this, it's just like bringing more awareness to it, because a lot of times I feel like the fan base is just looking at it as a way for them to almost like release. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's in the air, but
okay, it's both of us.
To release their stress and like any emotions that they have pent up about the sport that they're supporting. But it's like you don't know the person who's receiving that on the other side of the screen, because more often than not, especially those athletes who are those predominant sports here or anywhere else, are looking their name up on social media to see what people are saying. Right. And so I just think that kind of like you were talking about, it's really just about the process and finding the confidence in who you are and not basing it off of those things. And it comes at its own pace for everyone, but definitely something that I feel like athletes undergo in a different form or fashion and to a different percentage and height at the college level. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Okay.
Yeah. What's next?
Your turn. Your turn. Okay. I like this one. Wait, where did it just go? Okay. Well, the question was, was there ever a time where you saw that sports were going to be in your life? No more, like any longer. And did you ever fear that point?
Gosh. Okay. So I feel like it, for me, looked a little bit differently because I had an idea, obviously, going into senior season. I was not expecting to come back and play my 5th year just because I'm already in my master's program. It's like, what am I going to do? Get another master's? We don't need that. So I think for me, going into senior year, I had like the mentality already shaped and formed out that, you know what, this is my last season. I'm going to make the most of it. At some point in time when this season ends, obviously soccer's coming to a close, but I mean, it just took a turn and looked a little bit differently. And I think injury kind of completely like took me off track. And
that's true,
it was just like
came
really
at a weird time.
Came at a super weird time, like a month into season. And so then it's like, okay, now I'm at this time where I'm like do I want to come back and go to school again and play my 5th year, or is soccer really done? And so for myself personally, I think every athlete knows that at some point in time, the sport's going to end. You can't play it till you're however old. I mean, some people do, but like, you know, and so for myself, I knew that at some time when college ended, my career was ending. I wasn't going to go play professionally. But that injury just kind of really like threw me off the track that I had at least set for myself. And so in that kind of, I guess, process of the sport ending is hard. You do something every day of your life for X amount of years. And for myself, it was since I was like 3 to 4 years old. So it was dang near all my life. And it was really difficult to process. And it's not something that comes easy at all. Whether you plan for it or you don't, when something that you have like grown in and developed and put so much passion and effort in, when that comes to an end, it's hard. It's hard to process. So I feel like it's at any point, planned or unplanned, it's never easy.
I agree. Wait, that was a good answer. I found the question, so I'm going to reread it the way that it was worded. So the actual question was, some people fear the day that sports are no longer. Did either of you experience any fear?
Yeah. I would say the fear definitely came after the injury. I think
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think I probably would have grown more fearful the closer season came to an end if I was still playing and been like, oh my gosh, is this really like coming to a close? You have the fear on when's the last game. Like you don't know. And so I think in regard to injury, it was the fear of trying to figure out what the heck am I going to do next? Like, what is this next step? Even trying to figure out if I was coming back to play or not. It was just so much fear and like, holy cow, this has been, I'm like saying all these little mom sayings, holy cow. But I'm like, I've been doing this for so long. This has been where I've spent so much of my time, effort, energy, everything. It's like, what is that now going to look like in my life? So I think that's where the fear came from. But I went on a whole little tangent, but it's
a lot.
You know what I mean. What about you, Karlina?
I would say I definitely feared sports not being in my life anymore. Kind of the way you said it, like, we have been playing this sport since we were 3 years old. I'm 23 now, so 20 years literally. So we are practicing every day. You train, you eat well, you sacrifice things, you miss out on things just for this sport. So it becomes a large part of your life. I don't like to say it becomes like who I am, but it was a big part of my life, and a big part of my schedule. Like, I would schedule everything based on my soccer. Whatever I had for soccer would come, or whatever I had for soccer would come first. Everything else would come depending on what the schedule looked like. So for me, I think it was definitely hard figuring out what I was going to do when I was done with my eligibility. I didn't even plan on taking my 5th year, but the 4th year, I think I just wasn't ready yet and was like, might as well handle it now and use the extra time that I had. It came down to this season, we didn't finish the way we wanted to, right? And so in my head, that was not the way that I wanted to go out, and I wanted to leave the program. I'm sure I left them with tips and resources and encouragement, but ultimately as an athlete, you just want to win. You want to leave on a great note, and unfortunately that was not the way that we exited. So after our season, I was constantly going back and forth with myself. Do I want to stop, or do I want to go professional? Do I want to enter the draft, or do I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, focus on my school and my professional life that I've been preparing for this whole time through college? So that was a hard back and forth thing for me. I literally went back, up until the last day to enter the draft, the day of, like hours before. I'm with my mom, like, do you think I should do it? What should I do?
Trying to decide.
Yes, and I think it came from me being so used to soccer in my life and being the constant, the comfort from it all. And I eventually just had to sit down and be real with myself and just say, Karlina, honestly, if you're thinking about it this hard and you're going back and forth about it this hard and this much, and it's stressing you out this much, I don't think it's really what I wanted to do. Because I never really thought about going pro until people kind of put it in my head, like, oh, you're doing good. You're having a great season. You should go pro.
Karlina, you did great all the time.
Thank you, Allie. But it was never in my plans when I came into college, so I hadn't really thought about it into depth until it was time for me to think about it. So yeah, I think it's natural for people to experience fear of not of their sport being no more, because we invest so much into it. And if you're not an athlete, you don't really understand how much goes into preparation and the consistency, and to perform the way that you want to perform at such a high level. So I think just from all that we've put into it, all that I put into the sport, the fear was definitely there of letting go. So, but like you said, everything has to come to an end eventually. I didn't want to limit myself to only soccer.
But you said it so great. I think a lot of it is just the fear of losing comfort. And the consistency.
Yes. Because I was like, this is my first year with no soccer.
Literally
my first year in my life.
Ever. Since you can remember.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Let's do one more before we go to commercial.
Let me ask you.
Oh, yeah, your turn.
Okay. So, this is, what would you say you learned? Did you learn more about yourself on the field or off the field?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Kind of a heavy question.
I would say both. On the field, things happen fast. So you kind of just learn to think fast. And also, soccer is a sport of mistakes, I feel like, and a sport of you don't know what's going to happen until it happens sometimes, or things don't go your way. So through the sport, I learned to overcome and just have an optimistic attitude and going into things, being able to let things go when they happen and proceed still the way that I need to be there for my teammates and everything like that. So I would definitely say I learned a lot on the field. But I think I would say I learned more off the field, honestly. Just off the field from school, from different relationships and friendships, from different experiences and encounters and situations I found myself in. And through those things that I learned off the field, I think I went and applied them on the field. So especially when I was voted captain, I'm in a lot of management classes now for my master's. And so it's a lot of managing people and how do you lead people and how do you build a culture that you're proud of and that's healthy for people to grow in and stuff. So I would be in class like, okay, how can I apply this to my team? How can I bring this to the soccer team? Especially when we were going through those challenges. So I would say for this answer, I've learned a lot on the field. I've learned a lot off the field, but I would say what I've learned off the field is stuff that I could apply to soccer so well, and not only soccer but other aspects of my life as well. So
I love that.
What about you? What do you think?
Well, I 100% agree with everything that you said, and I also think for myself it like kind of worked like interchangeably almost, because I also like everything that you just said. I'm like, yes, I feel the exact same way. I think I tried to carry areas of my off the field life and apply it to my on the field life, and I also think that my like on the field self affected my off the field self so much too, because I think a lot of it did have to do with like facing adversities when coming here, a lot of like confidence things, a lot of dealing with pressure that I feel like have now allowed me to have a different mentality when going into things in my everyday. And so I think it worked both ways. I think that's how things have to go though. Like you almost have to find areas of yourself in one position or platform or just anything that you're doing and go and then try to use some of those qualities and characteristics that you've picked up and apply it to something else. So I think both. Like I 100%.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. Like I'm like, yes, everything you said, I'm like, yes, absolutely. And then I also think it like works the opposite way. So I think it's both.
I think it does.
You learn.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, no.
No, I was going to say, like, sometimes you're on the field in the moment, but you just, like, can't wait to get to that person off the field. But then some days you're off the field and you're like, I can't wait to play this game tomorrow. Like, I'm going to be in my element, everything. I'm dealing, I don't know, it can be a stress reliever for you. So I think it is both, and they are very interchangeable.
It's just like every person learns through everything that they go through. It's the same thing with being a collegiate athlete. You learn in every area of your life every single day. You're learning something new, and you just are then trying to apply it in different ways.
I think one of the differences may be like just how that they're understood, how the lessons are understood, or how they're translated off and on the field versus, because sometimes when you're on the field, things that you may pick up or other people may not notice, or things that you may learn from other people may not learn from, or it just, you might kind of have to search for it or think about things a little bit deeper, because in that moment everything is just soccer. It's soccer surface level. So I think it's just the vessel and the ways that the information comes in.
Okay, vessel.
That the lessons are coming in. Oh my gosh, Allie. The way that the lessons are expressed and communicated are different, but they are very interchangeable in how they're applied.
Yeah, agreed.
Perfect. That's good. Very well said.
So you or me, sister?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, guys. So we are going to just take a little break to hear from our sponsors, Academy Sports and Outdoors, and we will be right back to answer some more questions.
Welcome back from commercial. So we're just going to get right back into our questions and our self-interviews with each other.
Yeah.
Okay, just to start off, Allie, what is your most memorable moment on the pitch, and what is your most memorable one off?
Oof. Okay. The off one might be a little bit more difficult. I think the most memorable moment on the field had to have been when we went to North Carolina to play in the Elite Eight.
Oh, yeah.
I think for myself personally, in that whole experience, it probably was scoring against OSU.
Yeah.
That was like the most like unsurreal moment, or unsurreal. That's complete opposite. Surreal moment I feel like that I had experienced playing soccer here. It was just like, it just felt so different than anything else. It was so exciting, and it just kind of gave me a whole bunch of confidence. I feel like it like reset my confidence back up. So that was probably one of my most memorable moments on the field. Also winning the SEC championship. Cannot forget about that.
I was gonna say that one.
Sorry, okay, scratch that. Stick to the first.
That's okay.
That one was also super exciting. That was very much like team memorable.
Yeah.
Like just a really exciting moment for the team. We had gone through. You can go into that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then off the field, probably. Gosh, I guess had to have been graduating.
Yeah.
Graduating, getting the ring, the Aggie ring. So I would say those two were, I mean, easy memories, but really great
I'm trying
ones.
to think off. I was going to say Aggie ring.
Yeah, yeah. Aggie
it's
bling.
fun. It's fun. It's
It
just a big
is.
deal, too, for Aggies in here.
Yeah.
Graduating, obviously, off the field. Blueprint was memorable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, something I love.
Not me like giving you
I know,
answers.
you're
I'm
like, you know my
here,
life.
Carl.
I would say like traveling too. Like we went to Hawaii. I know you weren't there
I
yet.
wasn't, but
You
it's
weren't
okay.
there. That was a memorable trip for me. That was my first time going to Hawaii. And I just think like crazy memories are made when you travel. Like
Yeah.
even when we went to North Carolina. So.
When we did, and we were like walking through the city playing cards at the coffee shops.
Yeah,
we
it's
couldn't,
just like you just
yeah,
I don't know.
it was
those,
so fun.
Those are when you make the most. On the field, yeah, I would definitely say winning SEC regular season champions, and not just because we won and because it felt great winning, but because that was 2020 COVID year, and y'all don't understand. It was COVID year was crazy if you were playing sports. Like we were trying to pass or have practices all split up into group, and so it was just a lot of focus and intentionality and just discipline went into that year and into that season. And so for us to win the season after all of that, it just felt that much more amazing.
Off.
Yeah. So I would say those two.
I agree 100%. And I love that you went into detail so people could understand. So next question is, can you tell me about a time in your collegiate career that made everything feel worth it? I know.
That made everything feel worth it. I would say now, honestly, like now that I'm not playing.
That was really sweet.
Really?
That was really wholesome. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that.
Because I just think now when I'm texting people on the team, like thinking about you, or this made me think about you, or I miss y'all. And just hearing all the comments or the feedback back. Like, people always say, we miss you, Karlina. Things aren't the same, or we miss your energy, or like, you were just so impactful. You were a great leader. So just hearing that, like, I had that impact on my teammates at the time, and people were able to see it and notice it and appreciate it, even though I thought I was just like going about the day and just doing regular things. But I don't know, it just always feels good to know that you've had an impact on people. And I think, if anything, when I left, like, it was never about winning or losing. It just obviously just wanted to leave the program better than when I came in. And so I think when people comment on that and compliment me, and I hear all those comments, I think that's definitely makes me feel that, like, everything we went through and everything we overcome and all the emotions that we felt were definitely worth it. And just that I feel like I impacted people. And so that's definitely just what I want to do in anything that I do. So I don't know, it's not athletically related.
No, but that's so true.
Yeah, I just think a lot more goes into it than just the games and winning and losing. So
I
at least
agree.
Me. What do you think?
No, I 100%. I would say, like, I think similarly, there was like two phases. I think that when, like, oddly enough, I feel like I've referenced the injury so many times, but kind of that in a way, because I feel like it was a little bit of those experiences kind of early on, and feeling so much support and compassion from the team and, like, from other people, and so many encouraging words. I feel like that in an odd way, it kind of made it feel like that. But I would definitely agree with you that I think it's like, retirement is one of those things where it's like, now that it's over, you just have to be happy that it happened.
Yeah.
And you're able to reflect and be like, dang, I wish in those moments where I took it for granted, I didn't.
Right.
But I'm so glad that I went through all of those things, because look at what I have learned now.
Right.
And what I can appreciate now. And so I feel like you really, like, hit the nail on the head, that it is one of those things that now that it's done and you get to hear from people. And someone texted the other day and they're like, not having you guys, like, the old girls there, this is really it's different. Like, we notice it's different. And I'm like, dang, like, even that you guys notice, it's like what you're saying, it's like,
it feels good.
Wow, it feels good. And it's also like, I wish that I could just run over there and play with you guys right now.
I know.
But I would agree. It's like, I feel like the retirement piece is just allowed for that shift in perspective and appreciation, I feel like, to grow.
Right.
And so, and
it lets you know that you were more than just a player. You're more than just athletic talent on the team. You're more than just, like, a defensive wall or whatever. So people just notice your attributes and your assets, non-athletically. You said it well too.
We
missed them. Miss it for sure.
Two and the same in our answers.
Yes. Okay. Last one for today. Do you have any advice for when you feel like you didn't reach the athletic goals you set for yourself coming into college?
Yeah, that is such a good question.
That is a good question.
And I hands down experienced that exact thing. I feel like I had so many expectations set for myself when I came to school, and expectations I felt like were set for me from other people. And that'd be like coaches and family. Like, it's just people who watched you grow up, play in high school when high school was like the time of your life. And then you come here, and the expectations, at least for myself, that I had set tore me down easily. I feel like it like withdrew my confidence. I came here and I was like, whoa, complete shock, shift in life or shift in the game, really. Because again, everyone says this, when you come to play at a collegiate level, especially at a place like A&M, everyone is the best from where they came from. You're there for a reason. So it's like, you're used to kind of showing out, being the best where you're from. But now you're on a team where that's every single person there.
Right.
And so it was just a very big shift, especially the team that we had coming in freshman year. And I had all these expectations set for myself, and I felt like I could never reach them. I was like trying so hard that I was hyper-focusing in on it, and I could never reach them. And it caused me to have so much doubt in myself as a player. But then at the time where I felt my identity lied was then causing me to have doubt off the field as myself as a person in different areas of my life. And so I feel like advice that I could give is to differentiate yourself on the field and yourself as a person, and then also never exceed or have these expectations to reach to be perfect, because that's just a very unrealistic expectation.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to reach that. So the more that you strive to be perfect, the more you're going to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think just, advice to focus in on your everyday, set little goals for yourself. Don't have expectations, but just set little things that you want to strive to reach every day. And when you can accomplish those little things, even if that's one day trying to put a smile on your face, and kind of you're having a tough day before practice, or you're having a tough day leaving practice, just attempting little goals that may shift your perspective, but not setting expectations on yourself all the time that may then lead you to feeling like some negative emotions of things. Yeah. If that made sense. I really just kind of went on the whole thing, but just knowing that your worth is so much more than your position and platform that you're in. Yeah.
I agree. I would say I'm a very goal-oriented person. I like to set goals. I like to reach them. Obviously, no one likes to not reach their goals. So I do like this question a lot. I think something for me I had to realize, and I consistently have to remind myself, is to give myself grace, and that my voice is essentially my identity. So to speak the words that I want to represent myself, and to vocalize them in a way that is a reflection of myself. And I say that because when you feel like you're not reaching goals, it's so easy to doubt yourself or get down on yourself and just start talking negatively about who you are and what you're capable of. So I would just say never question who you are. Know that you're capable of whatever you want to reach. And if those goals aren't in your range at the time, it's okay to reset. Goals are not permanent. They're not written in Sharpie, so you can't erase them or change them. I constantly change the goals that I have. If it's a huge goal, I try to break it down into little smaller ones that I can achieve in a sequence to reaching the ultimate one that I want to get to. So I would just say reset if you need to, or pivot if you need to, or reframe your goal if you need to, or zoom in on it in a little bit and focus on the little things to get there until you can get the big things, because it's all a process in itself. Everything is a process in itself. And so, don't get down on yourself. If your goals take a little bit longer than they need to, everyone is dealing with anything. And so everyone needs grace for sure.
That was so well said.
I would just say, I don't know.
I
think like speaking to yourself, somebody told me that, or I think I read it somewhere. It's just that your voice is a representation of who you are, and to remind yourself that your voice is essentially your identity. And it just made me think of the way I talk to myself and the way that I want people to view me. And so, just keep encouraging yourself and stay confident.
I love it. That was perfect.
That was a little deep, more inspirational than I thought.
No, I love that. I actually, the Sharpie part that you said, your goals aren't in Sharpie.
No,
I was like,
they're not.
Whoa.
Just erase it and then rewrite it again.
That was so.
It's a pencil. It's not a Sharpie.
Adaptability. I loved it. I love that. What a way to just the end of that, because that was great.
No, this was fun.
This was so fun.
This was fun.
I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode of Behind the Number. And we are so thankful that you guys could just be with us today, and hopefully we were able to answer some of y'all's questions. We will see you guys next week.